Tom Ginn, Elevate Your Profits, and
Mark Gassert, direct
a
from
good
Phoenix,
evening, my friend.
Georgia. Man, I love that
Hey,
beat. We were going crazy. It was a looping and banging and booming, and I was like back here dancing. You're getting ready for me, Dave. You don't even know this. I have a dance class I go to right after this, so it's a beautiful thing. I'm in the mood.
well, me being a big football fan, I was hoping to have a 2-0 run on Georgia today, but the Packers lost to Atlanta, but the Badgers beat Georgia Southern, so we came away with at least one win. So
Yeah,
uh,
sorry about that.
it's going to be a long season for both teams, I have a feeling. So young teams, that type of thing. So,
Yes.
hey, Mark, I'm excited tonight to introduce our guest tonight, but why don't you share with our audience a little bit about what Elevate Your Profits is, why we started it. It's been what now, almost 3 years, Mark, this October?
That is crazy. Yes, and we the geezers, Gassert and Ginn, are still out here doing this. I kid about this all the time. Tom, we have no business doing this. I mean, this is a youth movement. Like my sons that are 22 and 26, they should be knocking it out of the park. But with that, elevate your profits. The reason this whole thing started, it was to talk about entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, talk about business, and to learn from them what they're doing out there, some really cool stuff. And then on top of that, it's not just about money, it's about causes. We've had people on here in the medical profession, we've had people, wellness. We've had people that have been authored in sales, technology, a whole slew, a plethora of folks out there in that 3 years. And the neat thing, I'm just going to say it, elevate your profits to me is to learn, like we are from our guest, what we can do with this particular platform, how it can help us, how it can connect us, and do various things out there in the marketplace. So that's what we're really all about. It's just not about money. It's also about a cause, a purpose, and that we're trying to convey that message to everybody out there. That's it. I'm done.
Well, great job, Mark. Yeah, that's our intention, is just to be a resource, bring people that have a story, have gone through the challenge that everybody else goes through as well, and how they get through them, and to have this different levels of success in their mission, their cause, and their business. Tonight, I'm really excited to make an introduction to our guest here in a moment, and I'm going to have him fill in all the blanks. But tonight is David Roberts, an esteemed businessman. He has a resume and credentials that are quite impressive. I'll let him share a little bit about his work history, his professional career, who he's worked with. But our whole intention tonight is for those that are out there to understand the power of using technology as a way to brand yourself, get your message out, be seen, be heard, be found. As Tanya Hoffman says, the founder of the company, that's a challenge that we all have in business. And I personally believe, going through the Grow Live Academy with Ken Walls, that if you're in business, you're not doing these type of forums, you're missing the boat, because you get an opportunity to push your message out to a worldwide audience for free. And that's a very significant advantage in any business. You basically have your own TV network. You can brand yourself. You can get as tricky as you want, and this platform will allow you to do it. But without any further ado, I want to introduce David Roberts. David Roberts has been with the Be Connected since the beginning. He's one of the first 150 or 200 people that made a commitment to make this part of his strategies in business. He's been with Tanya and JR since the beginning, and he's seen all the changes and where it's going and what's going to happen here in the future. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce David Roberts. Dave, what I always like to do first before we get going is, what are you grateful for today?
Well, I'm grateful for my 5 kids and my 7 grandkids. That's the starting thing. I mean, I'm blessed to have a lot of family around me. I've got a 92-year-old mother that's still rocking it, and so for me, it's all about relationships. I mean, I basically have taken an approach to life to say that I'm here to serve, and if God decides that I'm going to make a lot of money out of that at this stage in my life, then that's a beautiful thing. But no matter what, I want to have impact. So I'm grateful for the opportunity here, guys, to talk with you, hopefully have an impact on your audience through this conversation, and let the universe take it where it might, right? So that's one of the powers of what we're doing here, is we're getting our story, getting our discussion out there for other people to hear.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dave. Thank you very much. Mark, what are you grateful for today? And don't say that the Falcons won, okay? Don't rub it in.
I'm grateful as always, and I know it's trite, but I am so grateful I have my health. I'm able to do the things I do. I'm grateful that, I was able to pick up the phone today, even though some people didn't want to talk to me, and, kind of had some fun during that process. It's part of the drill, but I'm really grateful I can even, umpire and do other things, and grateful I can go to class tonight. I think the older you get, Tom, you always say, what are you grateful for? When you start looking around and I see people that they don't have a limb, like wounded warriors or whatever, you see some of these guys come back and they paid and made the ultimate sacrifice. It really kind of humbles you when you hear the word can't. It's just can't be part of your vocabulary when you ask a person what they're grateful for. Ask them what they're grateful for. They're grateful to be home, and I think sometimes we take our health, our current situation for granted. And I'm not going to bang the drum on that, but, just enjoy the process, man. Have fun, and don't get so uptight about stuff, and look for commonalities. That's what I'm trying to do. I forget about the differences and all that political crap and what's on the TV. It's still a boob tube in my book. I know it's a flat screen now, but just look for something that's common, and that's what's going to be cool as Dave gets gone here. He's going to share a lot of unique things with us about this particular platform, which I'm still learning.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Mark. I was sharing with David before we came live, people always say, how are you? And I came up with this because when I understood gratitude, the power of gratitude is what it does, no matter what our circumstances are. If we go to a place of gratitude, it brings you to a positive state 100% of the time. It brings joy and happiness to you in all situations. And I think that's what we're seeking.
Mm-hmm.
And when people ask me, how are you doing? I always come back with it. I like to get people to stop and think for a moment. And I say, this is the best day of my life. And that in itself, would you hit the lottery, just get married, or had some supernatural thing happen or something? And my goal is to repeat it tomorrow. I'm so grateful for this moment, to know Dave, know Mark. This is the most important time of my life, this very moment. You can't take these things for granted, because how we deal with this moment is going to dictate what happens in the next moment all the way into the future. So it's accumulation of good, positive vibrations. And Dave's going to talk a little bit about that as well, knowing a little bit about his platform and things he does with Warriors versus Zombies. I hope I titled your program
Warrior
correct.
Versus Zombie. Yeah.
Warriors versus Zombies. I love that zombie, because it's unfortunate we live in a world of zombies. I used to be a zombie, and sometimes I fall back in that state as well. But it's just a mindset and a clarity of gratitude and positive vibration. So without any further ado, I want to introduce David Roberts. Dave, I always like to just tell a little bit about where you started your journey in life, where you are today, a little bit about your background, your business experience. I know you've held some high positions in corporate America, and you're an entrepreneur as well. And just share your why. I'm a Simon Sinek person. What's your why in life? And why don't you go ahead and let you roll, my friend?
Well, I'll start with that, because first of all, I met Simon Sinek after I wrote the Vision Challenge, and the 3 components of the Vision Challenge that I started. And by the way, I'm kind of starting towards the last 15 years of my life, and then I'll go back and catch you up. So, because people kind of want to hear that. But somebody said, you sound a lot like Simon Sinek. And I said, well, I've heard the name. I don't know who Simon Sinek is. And that was back when he had the golden circle and that kind of thing. And I said, oh, okay. Now I understand. Yeah, I can see why you'd say that. But yeah, my life purpose is changing the world one dream at a time. And that sounds somewhat esoteric, but it really isn't. I'm on a search every day, now using technology and this platform and other things, but trying to find warriors from all walks of life who have a dream, have a vision, have things that they want to accomplish. And then I can help them, number one, get clarity on what that is. And then number two, get them moving down the path. And so, and also today, what I do is build community. I have a local here in Dallas, a local networking community of a little over 2,000 here locally. And then now with the Be Connected community, I have over 400 and almost 450 people in my in that platform. And that's different than how many connections. We tend to talk about influencers, people who have 1 million followers and stuff. It's a lot different than having people who you're connected with and doing business. But how I come to that point, first of all, I have a lot of journeys, so there's no way we have time to go through the entire journey, my warrior journey. But I started I'm from Kansas City. So the part I didn't say I was thankful for is the Kansas City Chiefs won this weekend. And so that definitely made me happy. And I get to celebrate until there's a new Super Bowl champion, which hopefully will be the Chiefs again this year. So, so I get to celebrate that, but I had to wait 50 years from the first Super Bowl championship I saw till the second one that they got. Now they've got 3. So I'm feeling it pretty good. So, but anyway, I do have ADD, so I'm gonna go around a little bit. But I started as a kid, like every other person, and my dad, we were lower middle class, and basically said, okay, son, it's great. Know you want to wear those tight jeans and wear clothes that I don't want you to wear. But if you want to dress the way you do and not have your mom shop for you, you got to start making your own money. And I said, okay. And again, you'll know how old I am by what I'm going to say next is I said, well, can I use our lawnmower to mow lawns? And we lived in a neighborhood where there was like almost acre plots. And I would mow lawns we had a riding mower and a mower, and I would mow them for $10 a lawn. I had 10 lawns that I mowed, and I made $100 a week. And back then, that was a lot of money for me. I was able to buy my own clothes. I was able, as an entrepreneur, I did my job well. I learned that because out of necessity, right? I mean, sometimes today I have 5 millennial kids, and sometimes today I didn't want them to have to struggle the way I did. But sometimes as we're entrepreneurs and as we're trying to use anything, it is a struggle. Okay. If you just see the struggle or you try to avoid the struggle and just deal with the fun stuff, you're living in a fantasy, right? So as a business person, I learned very early on that, being an entrepreneur and working, you got some people tell you no, some people tell you yes, and then you start building relationships, and it's about that relationship of trust. Those old ladies or, people that I mowed their grass, they counted on me. They could trust me. I had integrity. And so that was that. Then I was blessed. Then my parents told me again, and again, I'm so blessed and of all the things that I had. But my dad said, hey, guess what? This college thing, I didn't go to college. Nobody's gonna, and if you want to go to college, you got to figure out how to pull that off. Here's $1,000 you can put towards a car. And I had a car that I'd paid cash for, but I did buy a new 1972 Rally Nova. And it was a pretty good deal because that was a decent down payment on that car. But I had to find my own way to go to college. And he said, the good news was I had done enough academically in school, played some sports and stuff. So I was able to apply to a bunch of colleges and then lo and behold, a corporate, it was actually the trainer at the assembly plant that I worked in, General Motors, or that was in our area, came to our college night and said, here you go. Students come in here, you know, you can get a full ride at Harvard or Yale or wherever you want to go. But here our students come in driving Volkswagens and go out driving Corvettes. So I started my career with General Motors. They paid for my college. They paid for my master's degree. And I thought I was going to be a car builder. My grandpa, who was worked in the union and the UAW at a different plant in Kansas City at the time, he thought it was great. But then GM bought a company called EDS, which is a technology company, Ross Perot's company. And that's what kind of got me into technology. I'm not a technologist. In fact, the only class I failed in college was Fortran programming as an engineer. For a number of reasons. So I'm not a programmer. I'm not a technologist. But for over 45 years, I've been using technology to do business, to make business work, and did it on a large scale. Worked with that company, EDS, did what they called their mega deals, large multi-billion-dollar outsourcing transactions, got recruited into a company called Accenture, global outsourcing, and helped them build, when they went public, they were Anderson Consulting. When they went public, I helped them build their outsourcing practice, and did that for 5 years, then retired. And that was 18 years ago this November, because they made provisions for doing that. You know, being a consultant, traveling all the time is tough duty. And so, I got to work with a lot of very large companies. And what I've done is what we're doing here in Be Connected is move large groups of people from one business process and way of doing things to another. You know, the financial part of it was part of the deal, but yeah, that's what we're doing here. And this is, how I got to where I am today, what I call a journey of meaning. When I retired, people say, well, how can you be retired? You know, you're doing more. I see you all over the place doing all this stuff. And you guys can relate to this, I would assume, is that retirement is not doing nothing. Retirement is doing what you want, when you want, with who you want, where you want, and having the impact you want to have, and living a version of your ideal day. And I live a version of my ideal day every day. It's living it by design. It's not Groundhog Day. I don't do the same day every day. And even if I was playing golf every day, it would get boring after a while. So, it's about having the impact you want to have. And I've learned a few things along the way. So I'm just enjoying the opportunity to help entrepreneurs and small business owners. I say I could work. I did a lot of time I put my time in with large corporations, and I'm not against them. It's just when I go back and start dealing with all the politics, you mentioned politics. Well, there's politics in large bureaucracies, large companies, right? And so when I start having to deal with all that stuff, it feels like work. It doesn't feel like I'm retired, and it doesn't inspire me. And if I'm doing stuff that's not inspiring me, then I don't think I'm, doing what I want to do. So, but anyway, that's the whole thing. We all have a unique reason for being here. I love what you said, Tom, is that God has us all on the planet with a unique purpose, a unique reason, a cause. We all have unique value. Everybody's different. Everybody's unique. People have come to me all along to say, hey, can you sort this out for me? Kind of my superpower. Other people have different skills. We all need each other, right? And then the third thing is, we all have a vision, that we're supposed to do that goes generations into the future. And I want to be making that impact and helping, again, warriors live their dream, figure it out, get clarity on it. And then I network really to connect other people to them, because I am retired. If you need something, if you have a gap in what you're doing, now that you're clear on where you're going, I need to connect you with somebody, because, like financial stuff. I passed my accounting classes and I enjoyed the finance classes more, but I don't like accounting. So if you got a financial challenge or you need to figure things out, I can help you find somebody. I got a guy, but I'm not going to be the guy. And so I don't want to include that kind of activity in my ideal day. So,
Yeah.
And I know I blew through a lot there pretty fast. So anything there stimulate
Well,
any
You
questions?
said something, your mission is to connect people that have a challenge or are looking for advice.
Mhm.
They recognize you of your integrity, your honesty. They can trust who you're going to recommend.
Mhm.
That's been sort of what part of my mission as well, is that who do you know that can help you? So Mark put up, are you a warrior or a zombie? I really like the phrase that she came up with. What's the story behind warrior?
Okay, the story behind that, yeah, I'm glad you asked that, Mark, because frankly, that's part of the story. It's when I was in 2005, I had just completed a large deal. I actually commuted from Dallas to Vancouver every week for 14 months.
Wow.
Went there on Monday, came back on Thursday or Friday. Then after I finished that engagement, I was working out from Dallas to Calgary. I was in the resources or the energy and utility space of Accenture at the time. And after traveling all that time, I don't know how much you traveled like that, but you land the plane, you kind of, it was not a hard duty. I was in first class. I was sitting there and I'd fall asleep and wake up when the wheels hit the ground, and after I'd read a little bit or whatever. And I woke up and it was kind of dark at night, and there was kind of that glow, and people were standing up, and I saw some of the same people I'd seen last week on the plane, and it seemed like everybody was moving in slow motion. And I looked around, and we just kind of walked out, and I'm walking out and I'm thinking, man, it just feels like we're all zombies. It just feels like we're all just going through the motions. And let me say, it's not about how much money you make. I was making I had a 7-digit income. Life was good. I was traveling, sleeping, first class, all that. So it's not about that, but I just felt like I was going to end up at the end of the road with a lot of regrets that I was just going through. And I was glad to be home. I was glad to see my family. I didn't like being away from my 5 kids. And 4 of my 5 kids were at home. And I just, as I say, lost God's peace with turning that crank and doing that. And so I said, there's a lot of folks that say that. Dr. Joe Dispenza says, if you don't work on your vision of the future and you're not actively engaging in that, your history becomes your destiny. And so I said, well, I could have all this stuff, but does anybody on their deathbed regret not having more stuff to leave behind? No, I didn't. So I said, okay, I have the option, kind of at the top of my game, I'll just retire. And I didn't really even know what that meant. That was part of my journey of figuring out what that meant and why I came up with the vision challenge and stuff, because I had to really reconnect with why I'm here, what value I provide, not in the context of doing large multi-billion-dollar deals, and how can I impact a vision of the future that was beginning to unfold for my family, the community around me. So yeah, like I said, I warrior versus zombie, we're all warriors. Those warriors move forward in their intention, yet we're all infected by the zombie virus. And that's actually scientific. It's a metaphor, but that's scientific. We all have this 95% of the thoughts you think today that your brain processes are the same thoughts you thought yesterday. Only 5% are really resident in our frontal lobe that we're taking actual intention. And that's the warrior brain. And so we all overcome those zombies in our world, COVID, things like that that occur, political things, things outside, quote, our control. But the bigger zombie is in between our ears, in our mind, right? So things that it's those habits, those things that we just keep doing because we're not thinking about them.
Right.
And we're all infected. So that's the warrior versus zombie. The podcast is all about all they are. You know, you said it already, Tom. You know, we all have a story. We all have a story. And, you know, everybody says, how did you get from where you, you know, my podcast, how do you get from where you started to where you are today? What's the unique value you want to provide going forward? You know, why are you here? You know, all those things. We all have those. And so I just want to get those stories out. I want to lift up the people that God brings into my path. So I run my life by a thing I call divine appointment. I'll spend a lot of time qualifying who I'm going to invest my time in. I figure there's a divine purpose for this, just like this time we're spending together here now. There's somebody that hopefully will hear this something about what we say here. You know, if it sounds brilliant, I've only got one source anyway. So, and I hope you know who that is. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I can relate to what you said. You were on the plane and you saw the illusion of these people just zombieing, just the same thing over and over again. I'll share my little story that caused me, my awakening is my career really originally started in the grocery industry and warehousing. And I was in the labor movement. I was a shop steward and contract negotiator and all that. And I was one day sitting with a friend of mine. His name is Al Hayashid. I have to give a lot of credit to him. So he brought up the conversation. He says, have you noticed that the routine, everybody comes in at the same time, they do the same thing at the time clock, they go sit with the same people, they talk about the same things every day. He says, Tom, can you see yourself another 20 years like this? And I said, no. You know, it sort of, let me take, and then I started really noticing it deeper. Says, I do not want that in my life. That's not where I want to be. So that was the awareness level that I knew I didn't want that in my life. I made a decision. I didn't know what I was going to do in the beginning, but I went into business for myself in the financial service industry, worked my way up to a vice president in the company, and to have a purpose and a cause to help people have success with their money. And but I just recognized that I saw the zombies, just like you did. I do not want to be a zombie. So I like that warrior versus zombie. I remember my first business mentor was Art Williams. You know who Art Williams is?
Yeah, A.L. Williams.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was sitting on his boat off Georgia. What's that island off of Georgia where the big mountain is?
Lake Lanier?
No, I forget.
Jekyll
Off the top of
Island?
my head. Anyway, I'd wanted an opportunity to meet with him because of my performance, and we're sitting in his yacht, not a boat, a yacht, like anything I have never seen before. And he says, "What's your crusade, Thomas? Is are you willing to die for it? Because if you don't have a crusade or purpose and a why that strong, you'll live a life of mediocrity and regrets." And that was my first. He gave me a battle cry. What am I really willing to fight for? And it came down to my family, of course, number one.
Sure.
My faith, my country, all those type of things, started lining those up. What am I willing to put my life? What's the battles I would fight and die for? And that was sort of his inspiration, woke me up in a different way. So his was, what's your crusade?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So I just thought I'd share that with you. That was sort of my journey. I had the zombie experience in a different format, but
Yeah.
it was a wake up call.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have really, Tom. I mean, I think when you really talk to people, like I said, I've interviewed now 120 or so warriors on the podcast, and I talk to thousands of people in any given year, on a one-to-one basis. And kind of what I do on my podcast, I ask the same questions. I modeled the podcast, the 4 segments of the podcast, right after what I do when I meet somebody for the first time. Is I, check in, hear their story, understand why they're doing what they're doing, the value they provide, and where are they going, and then kind of bring it to a head. So I just do that live and send it out on all the audio platforms for about 400 downloads a week. I'm not Joe Rogan, by the way. It's but I love it. I'm getting fun. It's fun. I love talking to people and getting to know people.
Good. Mark, any comments or anything you'd like to share?
Well, yeah, one of the things you guys said is I think, being when I started out this travel regime, because I was in the trade show industry. So, yeah, I saw a few people I knew, but you kind of look outside yourself. I mean, you're like, man, why am I doing this? Because there comes a point in time where there's got to be more than life than hopping in a bird and going somewhere and doing something. I'm not making light of that. Everybody's got to find their vocation out there and do what they got to do. I get it, but I don't know how people do that for years. It's just, it blows me away, because even if you're sitting in first class or whatever, I've done that a few times, but my wife used to tease me, but then there's the other side of it. And Tom knows my story. And then, we had 2008 and 9, and what broke loose financially. And the next thing, and I wish we would have had all these tools back then, but we didn't. It would have been awesome to connect with people and everything else, but it is what it is. And, you just move on from there. And it's funny, I think, just listening to you, both of you, is how you handle things. Things are going to happen in your life. And that's something I always have asked both my sons, like, what are you going to do when maybe you're on the verge of losing your job and your wife's upset at you and your finances aren't where they need to be? And, how are you going to handle all that? And because invariably that happens. One of the wisest men I ever met was my dad. Lived to be 95, and he told me, you'll appreciate this, both of you will, what was going to happen to me. And when it did, he said, ask me how I knew that. And I knew how he knew that because he went through some of these things. He never shared it with us when we were younger, growing up.
Yep.
Some of the things that he shared with me, he worked for the Bethlehem Steel Corporation, and Tom talked about unions and all that, so he knows both sides of it and worked his way into management. But it's interesting that learning from others before us, I really wish I would have had things on a tape recorder to sit down and talk to him more. Even though we had conversations, I should have taped some of it, because everybody goes through these struggles, just like you have your podcast. Are you a zombie or are you a warrior? Obviously, the people you have on there are warriors, but some people don't even recognize the fact that they are zombieing out day in and day out. They're just going, like you said, going through the motions, and they're miserable. They're not real happy. And, it goes back to your mindset and how are you going to handle it? And not everything's, you were making a lot of money. My brother-in-law made a lot of money, but he didn't have very good health. So there's the trade-off. And he often used to tell me that he wished he had a good heart, because they couldn't help him, or he would have died on the table.
Yeah.
And you have all these things, and I know your sister appreciates it, but Mark, here's the reality, and it's really wild. And then that's when Tom asked about gratitude. And that's why I say, I'm just so thankful I don't have health issues. I know people my age, and we're all at that age. I've lost people younger than me, or friends of mine now have moved from this planet. So you never know.
Mark, I want to just expound on something you said. Your dad knew the outcome, and how did he know? He's a wise man. I heard this the other day, and I've sort of embracing it as a new. It's not knowledge and intellect that cause you to be sick. They have that it is part of a formula, but it's not the real. It's your wisdom. It's your decisions you make. You know the outcome of any decision you make before you make it. That is a wise man.
Yeah.
And that's life experience. You've been down that road. You can invoke that, not through knowledge, but through experience, that wisdom. So,
Right.
just like your dad said, how did he know? Because he'd been down that road. He is a wise man. And that's, somebody like Dave. We're looking for sages. We're looking for that person that
Oh,
has
absolutely.
experience that we can trust and believe in, and there's not hype or anything like that. Unfortunately, there's a lot of stuff out there today that is a hype, and that's what I love about Dave, his transparency, his honesty, and his conviction. So,
And Dave, I just wanted to ask you, when you walked away from all that, I bet you people thought you were insane, right?
Oh yeah, no, they absolutely did, and frankly, you evoked one of the zombies in my life in the time frame which was 2008, 2009, because they did think I was crazy, and a lot of times you can do all the financial planning, you can put it all out there, and depending upon paying attention and doing the right things. And I lost over $8 million in real estate and stocks during the banking challenge that happened back then. And went from a place where I was retired and everything looked good on paper to going through a period of time where I wasn't sure if I could pay the rent. I could feed my family. So, but I think all of those things, those challenges, those zombies that occur that you overcome, give you, like Tom's dad, I've been there. I didn't talk about it with my kids. In fact, when my kids listen to some little snippets sometimes of the things that I share, I isolated them from that. I mean, I retired again in 2005 with 4 of my 5 kids in middle school and high school. And in 2008, all the things that were there. But then you have to make another crazy decision. You know what that is? Do you stay on the path that you're supposed to be on? Or do you go back?
Yes.
Do you let, and again, it's not all about money, right, Tom? Right? I mean, we already said this.
Right.
It's not all about that. I mean, money is important. Money's a great tool. It's great to have. If you don't have it, you think about it a lot. If you do, you don't think about it. A lot of people don't think that rich people, all they think about is money, and they don't. I'd like that not to be a factor in anything. It wasn't for a long time.
Right.
But you know what? I can help my kids now more than I could when I hadn't experienced what I experienced for 4 or 5 years there, and then the experience of reevaluating and making sure and just getting grounded in that decision at a different place, because you can become comfortable even once you go through something like that, through scarcity and things like that. You can be comfortable at an uncomfortable level over time, right? That zombie brain gets comfortable with just plotting and just, okay, I don't like it here, but I'm not going to exercise anything and re-engage my frontal lobe and find a plan out. And I had to overcome that too. I mean, again, you said transparency. I'm just transparent. I mean, it wasn't like I did this and everything worked out. I've had a lot of gifts of failure in my life.
Right.
Yeah. So leading up to today, you've used technologies as they develop, recognizing their tools and resources to make your job easier or more productive, whatever the case may be. How were you in it? Because I really love this platform, Be Connected, and the opportunity it gives me as an individual business person, live streaming, building my brand, those type of things with this platform versus some of the other platforms. Not downplaying any of the household names that we know, but this platform is incorporated the best of all of them, put them in one place. So you were using technology. How did you get introduced to the Be Connected platform? What did you see where in the beginning? Where do you see what you see now and where this platform is going for anybody that's out there that's number one, looking for a better resource. Number two is looking for an opportunity this company provides as well.
Well, so basically we view this platform, and if you, it took us a while to really get married to the concept that this is a social business platform. I personally saw that when Scott Schilling, good friend of mine, we were working on trying to figure out a way to take in-person local networking, which they're all over the world, right? Local networking groups, people building local community. I had this vision, or had this belief that there had to be a way to do what we do in person, but do it online, use the technology to do it. I've been using technology to do all kinds of things as technology evolved over the years. So this was no different. When I was introduced to Be Connected, it wasn't what we have now. Now we have, we bill it as 5 major components and they're integrated and it's all there for you. What we had in 2022 was a vision. We didn't have a website. We didn't have an app. We had a vision. It said, we're going to do business and we're going to put the bits together, as I say, to make technology to where you can do, at least the way I interpret it. This is my view of the world, by the way. So, I'm not speaking for the company per se, but this is what I see is I'm able to do with you, Tom Ginn and Mark, we're in different parts of the country. I can build a network and relationships all over the planet. And I can do that in a way that before Be Connected. And it's not just a Zoom meeting. See, it's the connection. It's making the connection, having your group, being a real person with a real profile, and having real groups of people that know what you're doing, and being able to do shows like this to get your message out, to get your story out, to do a podcast, to run a ministry. You could. I mean, I have a men's breakfast network. I meet once a month, and I'm really men supporting men. And, we'd use this platform, during the downturn, when we couldn't get together in person. The whole thing is that this platform is ideally built for people that are building relationships of trust, because that's where business happens, right? Stephen Covey Jr., wrote a book called The Speed of Trust, and trust gets rocked. But Be Connected, we're on a journey. It's not perfect. Again, transparency is okay, right? It's not perfect. It's new technology. If you've ever dealt with technology, it gets better and better and better. And it needs people like Tom Ginn and me and Laura Lee Kenny and a bunch of other people on the platform that are there trying to make it work to do real business. That's the thing. It's a business platform. All the others are social media. You got to understand the difference. Media, this is not a media platform. We can do broadcasting. We can do it for our own purpose. But those other platforms, they don't care whether you do any business on them or get any revenue out of them unless you're willing to advertise on them, to pay for them,
Yes.
Boost your post, get more impressions. All those things, guys, our zombie brain has become addicted to the dopamine that they feed us. The likes, the comments, all that stuff. That's all good. It makes you feel good that somebody liked your post. I don't get so excited. I mean, we just added that. It's great. I love it on the platform. It does appeal to people. And it does feel good to know that somebody liked what you said. But the point is, if you just can't get off your phone, almost said something I shouldn't say. If you can't just get off your phone a minute to engage real people and do real things, then it's not an asset. It's a liability. It's dragging our most valuable asset. As I always say, my most valuable asset is my time. Bill Gates can't die yesterday. If you're not treating it as such, you're messing up big time. The other two is my network. Number 2 asset is my network. I'm more likely to buy from you than I am to recommend you, because I value that, my reputation and stuff so much. And that's what you have the ability to do on this platform. But too many people still think, having a one-to-one is a sales call. It's not a sales call. You're building a relationship of trust. This platform enables us to do that. And it's such a game changer that a lot of people don't understand.
We're in the business of changing the paradigms that
That's
we've
right.
been conditioned. So this is a whole new paradigm, a whole new way to look at yourself in the community of business in a different way. Just like some of the people we've interviewed, like Larry Levine, always try to promote those that are out there making a difference. Larry Levine, selling from the heart. How do you connect with people at a more intimate level quickly, and what that's really about? Because that's relationships. And then the business flows naturally because you've got that trusting relationship. So, yeah, well, thank you for sharing. The platform, I know I talked, like Scott in the beginning and that type of thing, it wasn't even close to what it is today. And, before we came on air, we talked about some of the little glitches that we experienced, but that's not the primary thing they want to fix, is to have the most perfect technology. It will come, but like you said, it's going to come from people using it and say, hey, if we could do X, Y, and Z, would that enhance it and make it easier for everybody? And so there's no doubt in my mind this platform will shine in the light, shine a light all the time when it gets out there. So a lot of people, I tried it once, I had this and that happen. You're missing it. You're missing the big opportunity of what the platform could do for you long term. Be patient, get in. When you started, I always use a sports analogy. I didn't know what a blocking dummy from an airbag when I started playing football.
Right.
But you learn really quick, how to handle each one of them. So you just got to get out there, be willing to get knocked around a little bit, get dirty, get up, dust yourself off, and get up again and give it a go. Mark, we've had some pretty interesting things trying to do little videos and stuff in the past. Even with some of our, I don't even call them our competitors, parallel resources out there we're using.
Sure.
We always had glitches, right? We always had some challenge that didn't go easy. So I'm not going to drop names of those companies because a lot of people think they're the best thing that ever been created, but they all have their issues.
I think Dave summed it up best when he said that's the whole point, the authenticity of this platform. It's okay if you screw up. And when I say screw up, maybe it didn't go off the way. I always go back to that time that Tanya was helping us to do a broadcast internally. And, it was a hoot how we wound up there. You two were there, and then she was guiding me through it. But it's okay.
Yeah.
And then we rebooted and did it all over again, even though we were live. We had a good laugh about it. But
see, that's necessary, by the way, guys. That we didn't talk about it, but the brilliance of Tanya and JR and what we've done on this platform that I think is it really takes people like you guys and those of us that are making it work and figuring it out. That's real work. And that's real value. And on this platform, you can be an affiliate and you can monetize that work. You can actually get a return on that investment where you could, you get on a social media platform or you get on these other things and they're all established and they may, they didn't work that great in the beginning, by the way, because I was on board the beginning with LinkedIn and everything. If you did try to use the LinkedIn or the Facebook app early on, you would have found some wonkiness there too, or on your computer, not just on the phone. So everybody has gone down that journey. But the thing is, I never got paid for weathering those storms, right?
Right.
In fact, I just got used. They call us users on those platforms, just like drug dealers, that we're getting fed the drug, the dopamine. And that's all they really care about. Keep you around long enough, or at least to keep you coming back. Here, we're able to reward people with the ability to monetize the work that you put in to build your community, to build your group on this platform, to do work. And and there'll be a reward if you stick with it. But like Tom said earlier, a lot of people got on, they checked it. Okay, it's not perfect. I'm not exactly what, okay, I'm out of here. And then maybe they'll come back. I think they'll come back at some
Yeah,
point.
the buzz is out there right now. It's starting. So,
Mhm.
but I would just want to address what you said is that a lot of people are using the social media platforms such as your Facebooks, your
Mhm.
Instagrams, your LinkedIn. They create followings and people in groups and those they use business pages. They want to herd their people into those groups. But here's a sad fact: you're working real hard to gather those cats together, put them in a place with it. You think that when you want to do a post that 100% of the people are going to get that message, less than 5% even get your post. Here in our community we'll teach you how to migrate those people into your group, just like you got on Facebook. But
Right.
anytime you do a post, 100% of the time, whether you're promoting an idea, a product, service, webinar, whatever it is, 100% of your people that you've worked hard to build that relationship are going to get your message. That is a significant difference of what this platform will do. Not only your own groups, but the platforms group worldwide. You have those options to be able to post and get a better penetration to the marketplace that you're looking to get in with. And the other side, we're talking the virtual side right now, but the aspect of building community of like-minded people, having automatic intelligence, matching up people of like minds, resources to collaborate to do business with is a phenomenal technology. People are talking about AI today. Be Connected was using artificial intelligence before AI became even a buzzword, right?
Well, yes, and the thing is, it is a buzzword because every other platform has AI too. You know that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Yes.
their algorithms, they call them algorithms, the Google algorithm, the Facebook algorithm, the link, those algorithms are, again, because they're social media, they're designed with the intention of driving that revenue model, which is getting more advertising. So they're going to throttle you back. If you get organic is a fantasy. If you get organic on those platforms, it's totally understandable because they're going to want to monetize your exposure. We don't do that. We give you the exposure, and actually our AI helps you get connected to more people, right? So we're doing almost the opposite with our AI. So yeah, it's a whole different game. And so, that's the thing. People are trying to get on the platform, and the first thing is they're trying to speak social media when they really should be talking about doing business, social business.
Yeah, great point. And I just want to say where this company is going. It's migrated to where it is today. It's been on the launching pad for nearly 3 years now, and there's some pretty significant players besides the founders of the company with the vision and starting to rein this thing in and start molding it to what it is, and it's going to potentially be. It's still being, the granite's still being chiseled, right?
Yep.
That statue's still inside the granite. So tell everybody a little bit about some of the resources that we brought in that's going to make this a significant player in the technology field, with a significant player that came out of Google.
Well, Frank Frausto, Frank came in and he's an awesome guy. And, he was on board with Google when I think there was like 300 employees, and they were, and he himself was kind of one of the main implementers and designers of the Google Partner Program. And if you know anything about where Google was back then to where they are today, I got $1 trillion company now. I mean, somebody who knows how to do that is a great resource and is part of what we're doing to now build the awareness in the world. And the beautiful thing is, those of us, the 21,000 or so of us that are on the platform right now in 120 countries, if we see that opportunity to leverage that, and then all of a sudden there's 1 million people in the next 12 months, there's all kinds of benefit that will accrue to the people that are looking forward. As when I used to do outsourcing, by the way, this is one that I often share, is the people I always knew that were going to be successful, and we took over a function within a company or brought in people, were the people that came in and said, okay, now things have changed. We're doing new things. We're doing new technology. I don't know what to do. Show me the opportunity. All the people that spent all their time looking at the door that closed because they now don't work for the same company they work for, they don't use the same technology, all those people didn't make it. They didn't end up being part of the solution going forward. So we have that opportunity here. That's more valuable almost than anything else that we've got, is an opportunity to be on the ground floor here. And we're still on the ground floor, just kind of a little off the floor maybe, but and we're still making it happen. So it's great. Anybody that sees this or hears this or becomes aware of it now is going to look back and go, oh man, I'm glad I didn't miss that. So
Right.
Yeah.
You mentioned about Google. It always reminds me of every time I hear about the Google guy, it reminds me of that movie. I'm dating myself a little bit, called The Intern.
mhm.
Yeah, when Vince Vaughn is
Vince
in there.
Vaughn and Owen Wilson, yeah.
Yes, they're both in there, but it's kind of cool how they brought their old world system into the new, and the kids were amazed at what they could do and how to connect with people. And you touched on it, David,
Mhm.
about that's what this really is all about. Like-minded people, even though different program or platform, what you do, what Tom does, or
Sure.
what we're out there trying to accomplish, but everybody in their own right, it's geared for people that are into business and not like you said, dopamine. They don't want to get ahead of something. And that's what I see now out there in the real world when you look at all these different platforms. And I'm not making fun of it, because there are some people that have humongous followings. I mean, it's tremendous.
Leverage those.
Yeah.
I've still got all my followers on LinkedIn. I've still got my followers on. But the thing is, I bring those people that want to really connect with me to be connected. And
Right.
then the rest of them, because that's just noise. It's just too hard. Plus, I don't have control of the people that I'm connected to. So this is where you can get control back of your global network.
Yeah. And I think that when people really start understanding the differences, what we bring to the table, they'll see the value,
Mm-hmm.
willing to roll their sleeve. I got maybe a slight, if you can log into a Facebook or a Zoom or any of these other platforms, you can do the same thing here. Basically, no difference. You're just going to copy and paste some information in and it's done. But the thing that I really love is that your profile and stuff going to match up with your ideal client or collaboration
Right.
partner, whatever the case may be. But the thing with the big platforms that out there have billions of people, they're taking your profile and they're selling you to the world. Because it's amazing what happens. You do a Google search or whatever. Next thing you see is all these ads are related to something you put in a comment that you made or whatever. Oh, by the way, you have a problem. Here it is. Pops up. That's not this platform.
Yep.
We're not going to have bots. We're not going to have what some of the technology, bots and trolls and all that type of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it really is about, and that's the thing I love too, is, we don't talk about it much, but you can, just like an Uber ride, you can score your experience with somebody. So, it's the regulation isn't somebody deciding that they don't like what you're saying. It's really just your integrity, in terms of being real and being connected. It's not some fake person. And there's a lot of that out there, right? Whether they're bots or they're just people that are catfishing you, telling you that they are somebody that they're not. Here, you're somebody that's not real is going to be found out pretty fast.
Yes.
Yeah.
The emperor.
I call that chumming. A lot of them will just throw the chum out there. Hope they draw it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, so Mark put up his link to learn a little bit more about Be Connected. Here's the beautiful thing. This platform is very robust. We offer a
Tom?
free version of it, which is more robust than anything you're currently using out there. That may meet your needs, it may not, but we do have some upgraded part of our platforms that will save you money, monetize your following like no other platform is going to pay you. We'll pay you. When I say we, not Mark and I personally, but that influence. But through the
I was
company.
about to say, man, I'm ready to get out of here, you know.
But I always like to plant this, whether you have 500 followings or 5 million, what's 10% of that to make a conversion and they paid you $5 every time somebody converted over? That is a very significant, do the math. We can't give any guarantees. Influencers can move a large percentage of people, say, this is what I'm using in my business. Take a look at it. Here's how I'm using it. And guess what? They'll convert a high percentage of those people over just because of the influencer's experience and what they're seeing.
Right.
Some feedback through JR. We have a significant person that does webinars and sells on a webinar platform. Some of the widgets they put in there, he's seen an increase in sales by 25%. And he doesn't do webinars at 20 or 30 people. There's tens of thousands of people on that platform. So if you increase your sales ratios 25%, that's huge. Just having a resource as powerful as this.
Right.
And so it's pretty unique. I could pop a couple widgets, but I'm not going to do that right now. That's not the purpose. But I just want to plant the seed, start thinking outside the box, start visioning yourself using technology in a way that will get your message to the marketplace you want to get it to. Live streaming is part of that strategy. Like Ken Wall says, if you're not live streaming in your business strategy, you're going to miss the boat long term. So this is one of those platforms you can plug in immediately. If you ever need any help on how to use this platform, you can always reach out to me. Dave is also an elite coach with Be Connected, sharing with people how to use this platform effectively, myself as well. So don't hesitate not to reach out to me. So DM me or whatever the case may be, tag and share out there this message. We never know who is going to impact and influence a different outcome for them. So definitely want to share this with yourself. Check it all out. Jump in, roll up your sleeves, get knocked down a few times, but it's going to be well worth it when you cross that goal line. You know how to hit the blocking dummy, right? So that's but anyway, anything else?
No, I'm excited. I just love the fact that, you know, everybody's here to serve. That's the thing. It's not here to be served. It's here to serve. And that's what I find. That at least that's all the people that the Connection Generator tends to send my way, is people looking to see how they can serve me. And I like to return that favor. Right. So it's overused, but it is a community of servant leaders.
Yeah. Well, Dave, you made a comment in the beginning about somebody that influenced you is Simon Sinek. I know this thing about the zombies. We've got to work on ourselves. Who are some of the biggest influencers? I'm a personal development coach myself, a Bob Proctor certified coach. Understanding our subconscious dictates the outcome that we get in our life. Who are some of the people that influence you? I always like to hear who are the people that you have followed, implemented their wisdom and knowledge in your life, besides the number one.
Yeah, I have the one, and then I will tell you, my father's passed. I could point up that way too. He was a huge impact. He taught me a lot of hard lessons along the way, and I didn't realize how many. I'm a big fan of people who are really capturing the mindset. I like Mel Robbins. I like her a lot. Tony Robbins obviously is a big name that Dr. Joe Dispenza, I mentioned him earlier, Simon Sinek, Dr. John DeMartini. I'm a lot about getting control of that zombie brain. And so lately, the mindset. Proctor, you mentioned, Zig Ziglar has been a big influencer, obviously Napoleon Hill. All, the guys that you look at as the the guys that have been around for a long time. You know, Anil Gupta is a good one. He talks about giving, growing, and being grateful. You know, just the keys to joy and happiness. You know, I could, you know, there's probably some I've forgotten that I refer to, but I like people who are focused on, you know, getting our mind, you know, getting us focused forward and getting that warrior thing going, obviously.
Yeah. The reason I ask that is so many people are out there, they're thinking it's the knowledge side, the processes, and processes are important, but it's understanding how we think and why we think what we do and changing those behaviors that start changing the results. Because you can take a look at results in any area of your life. It's a direct relation to your subconscious thinking. Once you learn to recognize that, then you have an opportunity to change that paradigm, tweak it, change it to get a different outcome. And I love hearing it from people who've had large degrees of different types of success, because when everybody that I have interviewed that has substantial success, the ones we go, wow, how did they do it? Is they make an investment in learning about how this thing works, the mind. And then not just learning about it, applying it. Do the work, roll up the sleeves, do the affirmations, do those things that people, all that doesn't work. Writing down your affirmation 10 times a day, or a vision board, or whatever the case may be. I guarantee you, when you talk to people that are what Mark calls hitting home runs all the time, they apply those things. And it's not woo woo. There's science behind all that. So I always like to hear it from somebody that has used those techniques, and has specific people that's influenced them to make a change in their life. So, so I encourage people out there to reach out to David. He's
find me
a
on the
wise
Be
man.
Connected platform. So yeah, if you're on the Be Connected platform, I'm there. You're going to see me all over. So
You can join for free under Mark. That's his link. Or my link right there. Dave, if you want to put anything in your link in the chat, you're welcome to do that.
Yeah, you're a warrior.
yeah, like I said, I think that I'll let you guys do this. Maybe this is you're streaming this where to Facebook and
Facebook, YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, I'll maybe put a comment in there for anybody that's interested in after the fact, and
Sure.
you know, just to keep it going. But yeah, I'm easy. It's visionwarrior.beconnected.com. So that's my brand. So I use that.
Okay. Wonderful.
But yeah, and I'm always looking for warriors to feature on my podcast. You guys haven't been on my podcast yet, so well, I'd like to get your story and your vision out at some point. So
wonderful. Well, David, thank you so much for being here. It's an honor to have you on. I look forward to our relationship moving forward with this association with the Be Connected. It's these type of platforms that link you with people you'd never have met before. So
yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm honored because, man, you got in pretty much on the ground floor. Although you say you didn't, but I mean, you really have. It's kind of neat that, you know.
Well, but it is doing something with it. There's a lot of people. I mean, again, there's people that got in earlier, and there'll be people that get in later that'll get energized and take, you know, it's still action, right? It's still doing stuff and figuring out how to make it work. And even when it's not as easy as it will be in the future, because it's going to get easier and it's going to get better. But you know, we're going to be here for the duration, and I'm excited you guys are with us here. That's fun.
Yeah. Well, Mark, anything you want to say in closing?
No,
we'll wrap it up.
As I would say, since I love baseball and the Atlanta Braves are doing real well, I would say that David Roberts tonight Aaron-tized it again, which means you knocked it out of the park in tribute to Hank Aaron.
Okay.
I coined a phrase, Aaron-tized, you know, and no, you did a great job. And it's really neat meeting new people, you know, and you just scratched the surface of of your journey. I mean, because I know there's a lot more to you, David, because I've looked at what you've done, and you're very humble, and you're a very giving person, I can tell. So, and I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you guys. This has been really, really fun. And
Great.
I'm sure we'll have other opportunities to do it again. So,
Most certainly.
and if there's anything I can do to serve you or your audience, I'm always here to do that.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you. We'll keep that in mind at all times. Well, we'll just wrap it up. We'll do a little sponsorship video here real quick, and we'll wrap it down.
Sounds like a plan, Tom. Thank you.